So obviously we started really with the end in mind. Well, actually we started with the why do we exist? And then we talked about vision, and we talked about establishing a rhythm of strategic planning. We talked about then why hiring your own in-house marketing capabilities and team capabilities is the best way for you to grow and to scale. And what we're going to talk about now is three different things. One is how to generate revenue right now, today, this afternoon, tonight, from your business, using some campaigns and playbooks that I'm going to share with you that are proven and tried and tested to work. I'm then going to also talk about how you can follow up more effectively in a more dynamic way and create these lead to customer experiences inside of your business that can provide really completely automated end-to-end flows for every single lead, prospect, and customer. And then I'm also going to talk about how you can deliver and delight your existing customers so they'll spend more money with you and they can refer their friends, family, and colleagues as well. So the first thing that we're going to talk about is get money now. Get money now. How do I make money now today? How do I take something out of this and put it to work in my business? And how you can create an instant profit windfall without spending more money on more advertising or trying to get customers. Now just think for a moment if you could wave a magic wand and have a complete marketing system that you can rely on to bring in all the business you want. You have a consistent flow of qualified leads and customers coming to you without having to go on a roller coaster income, and you have more freedom to take time off in your business without having to worry about you not being part of the business or the business falling apart when you're not there. Or you could spend less money on trying to implement new campaigns yourself. And of course, finally break through the frustration of getting more customers with less stress and headache. Well, here is the dirty, dirty little secret of running a moderately successful marketing agency that I'd like to share with you. In order to get to where we were, we had to standardize the way that we did things for our clients. And in fact, over the past 12 months, I've generated over $127 million of new business. That's new customer revenue, not back-end revenue. This is new front-end revenue for our clients in our agency, but doing so with campaigns that I'd already created. I didn't re-engineer things. I didn't try and reinvent the wheel. I just used playbooks and campaigns that were already tried and tested and proven to work and implement them for clients for a handsome fee, but ones that provided great value in advance and provided a multiple of even the $22,500 a month that they were paying us. And that's using what I call our automation playbook library. This is a whole library of different campaigns that I'm going to share with you here. And this first series of campaigns that I want to share with you is something that I've discovered over the past 12 years of running these businesses, that there are hidden pots of cash and gold sitting in virtually every single business just waiting to be unlocked. You've just got to know how to do it. Fortune is obviously in the follow-up. You've probably heard that a lot. And you don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel to see success. You just need to model a playbook that already works. Now, the hard way, if you've tried creating marketing campaigns and things in the past, then you'll know that you've had to create everything from scratch yourself. You didn't really model tried and proven tested marketing campaigns, and you didn't necessarily have a guide or specialist or mentor kind of telling you what to do. So you've kind of come up with all of these ideas. You've probably got a whiteboard and mapped all of these different things out. But then when you come to actually implement, then it never really quite works the way you want it to, and it takes ages to actually implement some of this stuff. And today, I'm going to give you the easy way that's tried and tested to work. Now, let's talk about the low-hanging fruit in every business and talk about conversion campaigns. These are the easiest and simplest way of generating cash for you today. They're there to monetize unconverted leads, people that had been to your business in the past and are not actually bought from you, and you can generate revenue from them. Or it can be a great way to reactivate old customers in your business as well. Or you can use them to actually sell more to existing customers that you have. And so I just want to introduce the concept of how we put a framework around these playbooks, because I think it's important for you to understand how we actually architect these things, because then it will be easier for you to understand, one, why they probably work so well, and B, how you can start thinking in more of a standardized way over building automations and campaigns that actually work. And that is with the worst marketing acronym that I could ever come up with. I call it the FSMC formula, and the FSMC formula is how we build every single playbook in our business that is repeatable and it provides great results. It doesn't matter how complicated something may be, this is what we use. The first part of this is the finish point. So beginning with the end in mind, where do we actually want to take people? Now, for some people, who has to have a conversation with somebody before they actually sell to them? Okay? Over the phone, diagnostic consultation, scheduled call, discovery call, all that stuff. Okay, so that's your finish point at a campaign. Who sells things autonomously online? Okay, great. So it's an info product, some kind of e-commerce business. That's your conversion point. Okay? The start is how you get the party started. How do people flow into that campaign? The M is the milestones, the things, the linear path that every single person has to go through before they get to the point of buying. Okay? And then the contingencies. These are what you use inside of the campaigns to ensure that you get people back to the milestones that you want them to actually take and achieve, the actions that you want them to take. Okay? Because guess what? Certainly in online advertising, it's very difficult trying to aggregate a lot of people's attention. People drop off all the time. In the hiring funnel that I was talking about before, when people don't complete the CV, the contingency is to send them a text message or to send them an email, because they don't take the action that we want them to take. Okay? Then, when people do take the action we want them to take, we're trying to move them to the next milestone. Okay? And then when they don't take the next action that we want them to take, then we remind them and we get them back to where they want to go. That's how we set up these automations. Now, you've probably heard the expression in the past, the money is in the list. Who's heard that? Okay, good. Well, the sad fact is, the money is not, it's kind of a double-edged sword. The money is in the list, but the money's in the relationship that you have with the list. Okay? So you've got to create more of a dynamic way of putting together your messaging and your campaigns so that they feel more human. It's actually an enjoyable experience to go through the process. Okay? And so what I'm going to share with you here is one of the campaigns and how we use the FSMC formula to create a cash flow surge in 72 hours or less. And that's with two campaigns. One is a simple version that I think everybody here can go away and go and put to work immediately. Okay? And the second is a more advanced version. Now, the first version is very, very simple. We have for every single blueprint and campaign, the FSMC, starts, stops, and the contingencies. Very simple. It starts, we invite them to the cash flow surge, and they buy. And this is what the campaign outline looks like. We start emailing them, and they need to buy before the deadline. It's very, very simple. And there's a series of follow-up messages that invite them to make a decision, make a purchase before the time runs out, before the countdown timer hits 0 and the world ends. Okay? The way that we set these up, and the copy, we have all of the copy written for these campaigns, but we use the first email as a primer. And what I mean by primer is, when you take people into a very aggressive campaign like this, which it is, you need to prime the pump before you actually drop the urgency and the scarcity in the offer. Okay? So has anybody here implemented the 72-hour cash flow surge? Okay, cool, excellent. So I don't think either of you have implemented it the way that we do it in terms of our copy and our experience, but you understand the concept of the thing, right? Good. So for those of you who bought Mass Control years ago from Frank Kern, he sold a product called Mass Control. It was a couple of $1,000, and the one supplement that came with it was called the 4-day cash machine. And what was interesting was, if you speak to anybody about when Kern sold the product, they don't really talk about Mass Control. They just talk about the 4-day cash machine, because that was the supplement that they took that made them money immediately. Okay? So we took that concept, but kind of moved it up a notch. And I'll show you the advanced version in a second with the automations that we use as well. But I want to establish that everybody in this room could run the 72-hour cash flow surge to their existing customers in a very, very simple way. Very, very simple way. And if on the break you'd like to see the playbook and like to see the copy that Kevin has crafted, so all of these playbooks have been written by Kevin, and so you can have a look through them and you can see them and how they're put together. But you can simply copy and paste them, or we can push them into your Infusionsoft app. And this is the overview of these things in terms of their timer delays, pushing them to go and make a decision, or pushing them to go and schedule a call as well. For those of you who are part of Next Level Growth, you obviously already have all the page templates for all of these campaigns, as well as the copy and stuff. So very, very simple campaign. Series of 4 emails leading up to them buying before a deadline. Now, what I'm about to explain is a slightly more advanced version of this, using Plus This and using Infusionsoft, which is the advanced version of the 72-hour cash flow surge, which is predicated on the following: that we introduce the offer, they click, and then we follow them up. Now what this does, it adds another level to this of introducing something to somebody, certainly a list, that may not be used to you communicating to them in quite that same way. Now if you use the 72-hour cash flow surge to your existing list and hit them with it, it can be quite aggressive. You know, and if they're not used to that, remember, it's the relationship that you have with those people. So what this does, it introduces the offer, and based on their engagement, it then follows them up. But interestingly, we do this in more of a dynamic way. And so there's a lot more emails. And again, you're happy to have a look through some of the playbooks and stuff on the break. But essentially, what we do is this. We send a series of emails, and when they click, we dynamically set a deadline date in the future. Now, I'm going to explain something that's slightly, this is advanced, so I just want to explain something to you. The reason why we like to set dynamic deadline dates based on engagement after they click is because of this. When you run the normal 72-hour cash flow surge, which has a hard fixed deadline date, so let's say, for example, I put together an irresistible offer for my information product. Okay? And I say that this Black Friday offer, and this is the problem with some of these seasonal promotions, what happens is they run them for 4 days, and when the countdown time hits 0, they can't get access to the page. By the way, you should totally do that. It's definitely not cool to give somebody urgency to do something if it's false scarcity. You don't do that. Does that make sense? Okay? So you need to be congruent with the messaging. So that means if they go to that offer after the deadline, they can't get access. But herein lies the problem. Because depending upon the engagement of your list, you may find that people don't open email 1 or email 2 for several days. So that means if you're running a 4-day or 72-hour promotion, they're not going to have the opportunity to buy, because by the deadline comes, it's going to be expired. Has that ever happened to anybody, where they get emails from marketers all day long, and you go to it and be like, well, I just didn't see that in my email? Well, the reason why this works is because, based upon their engagement, it dynamically sets a deadline date for the 72-hour deadline in the future. And then every message that they then receive past when you've set the deadline date, all of the timing with the page expiry, the merging of the date into the email, and everything else is totally real. And it's based upon their engagement. Now, the beauty with this as well, and a lot of people don't talk about this when it comes to conversion campaigns, is who here's got like a lead magnet? Free report, something like that, right? Well, you can use this campaign as a great way to cascade people from downloading something free straight into an automated offer, but done in an evergreen, perpetual way by dynamically setting these deadline dates all the way through. Okay? And you don't have to think about it, you don't have to worry about it. It's based on their engagement, it's dynamic. You're doing the right thing because there's no false scarcity, and it works really well for you. And then, of course, at the end, the automation using Infusionsoft, using Plus This and tools like it, you can automatically expire the offer on the page. The page will redirect, and then you can get people to then opt in for the wait list, which then can start another automation. I just wanted to give you the context behind the reason why sometimes, especially these days, especially when people don't understand email engagement. Does everybody understand the difference between marketable and not engaged and marketable engaged? Right, Rich certainly does, because he's definitely found this out. So here's the thing, like when people say that they've got a list of 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, this is irrelevant. How many people are marketable and engaged, and not even marketable and engaged? How many people are marketable and engaged in the past 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? And so if you don't know those numbers, then first of all, it's going to hamper your deliverability and the results that you're actually going to get from these campaigns anyway, right? And you can then do more dynamic things that for everybody that's unengaged after 90 days, you can then use a custom audience feature to suck out everybody from Infusionsoft up to a Facebook audience to then start serving adverts to everybody that's not engaged to then make them engaged again, right? Because they can re-opt in. They're already on your list, but they're not opening your emails. That's why we do so much stuff with multimedia. I'll be explaining that with message marketing with the phone funnel framework tomorrow. So this is a great way to do that. Now, the problem for you, and I get it, is to write all of this copy is an issue. So we write it, and this is how we work with our agency clients. We have it part of the growth program. We just do it for you. And we push these campaigns into Infusionsoft. For those of you who want that, just speak to us about doing it. And so this is the way it works at a high level. 3 emails, 3 primary emails to tell them something is coming. So you've seen this a few times with the copy where somebody would say, hey, look out for an email in your inbox tomorrow. I've got something cool to share with you all. Click this link to get on the early wait list. When they do that, they hold there, and then they get put through into the countdown series. And of course, you can be more aggressive with those people because they've shown intent. There's an intention behind their action before them going to take the action that they want.
I have a question.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm building a little faith in email marketing because I have a tremendous amount of lists. We spend a lot of money to get these people on the list, and when we scrubbed our list, a lot of people are just not opening the emails. Like out of 25,000 people on the list, you get 500 people opening the email.
Yep.
So this just is very discouraging, actually.
Absolutely. Yep.
I talked to AWeber, I talked to them, and they said, hey, man, it's, they didn't really give me a solution to that. So what are your thoughts?
Well, at your size of business, you shouldn't. I'm just tell you the path. There's nothing wrong with AWeber, number one. But when it comes to sophistication, especially when it comes to creating assets in the business or playbooks in the business that are repeatable, the automation capabilities of something like Infusionsoft is what you should use. Like, it's the inevitable next step for you, right? But also, your ability then to market more effectively to those people means your engagement is going to increase because of the tool that you're actually using. And at your size of business, you're at $100,000 a month, right? It's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. So by doing this, you can do so much more. Plus with Infusionsoft, which you can't do with AWeber, well, you could do with their Pro Tools, with a plugin and stuff, but like firing off multimedia stuff, firing off text messaging, which I'll talk about tomorrow, firing off ringless voicemail, firing off any of those different things, syncing stuff to custom audiences, they're all things that you can do now.
Yeah.
More dynamically. Okay. Yeah.
Quick comment. We stopped looking at open rates
Oh, yeah.
only a couple of years ago because it was so deceptive. It's really that you don't know if the client app is actually hitting the pixel on phones or looking at emails. That's not being tracked. So the step that we look at is actually click-through rate. If there's a link in the email that we're sending. Otherwise, I ignore open rate completely.
Yeah. I think that's a really, really good point, because at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is the resultant action that actually happens as a result of you sending campaigns like this. What's the number of scheduled calls? In order to get there, they needed the click-through. So the metric to measure is the thing very much before it, like Dave mentioned. And really, it comes down to those results. But there is a whole heap of money just sitting there for you to deploy just by using the campaign. So Dan Kennedy, we ran their crap for 3 years or more. We generated $2.5 million in revenue for them. This was, I think, from memory, from when we put this in, this was only in like a 4-month basis. Steve would be able to tell you. But for weekend web deals, we never really liked them, by the way, just so you know. We just told them the strategy of what they needed to do. But they literally we took the same playbook straight out of what we already use, and we did weekend web deals. And the results were amazing for them as a result of doing this.
This is great for like a Black Friday or something.
Great for promotional stuff. But also, so great for promotional stuff all around the year to put into your content plan that you can just recycle and reuse these things. But also great in an evergreen fashion as well, that if you're wondering, like, how do I follow up more effectively? How do I not have follow-up failure? Just strap on this type of campaign on the back of a free offer, and there will be a number of, because remember, they are at the most point, like the point where your engagement and your relationship with that person, once they've requested that free information, they're at a point of momentum, right? So why not offer them something that's congruent with what it is that they've opted in for in the first place, your free lead magnet? You can drive them to a consultation very effectively, or drive them to a purchase very effectively. Hey.
What's the urgency then on the drive to the console?
So
How's the timer work there?
generally what we would do for something like a law firm or something like that, where there are paid consultations sometimes, what we would do is we would put together a stack of and build the value in the consultation with things like me saying to you, hey, so you can have a free strategy session and I'm going to give you a step-by-step blueprint that you're going to come out with at the end of the call, and build it up like that so that they feel that there's a tangible value, there's something tangible that they're getting. They're getting a roadmap, they're getting a blueprint, when in reality, it's just a consultative sales process, but you are actually going to deliver something to them. That works really well. Assessments work really well. So my friend Sean Greeley in the fitness niche, does anybody know Sean at all? So Sean uses a diagnostic consultation, but actually has an interactive assessment that his salespeople go through on the call, that then spits out a customized plan for where they are in the fitness business. So that's a great way to stack value. So don't think to yourself, which is a great question, because don't think to yourself, 72-hour promotion with this dynamic deadline and stuff, we'll use your playbook to drive people to a console. How do I actually create that offer? Well, it's about creating an irresistible offer, and a great way of doing that is we're going to provide this customized assessment. Usually this call is worth this much, but you're going to get these things from it. There's value in doing that. Does anybody know Dean Jackson? Cool. So the next campaign that I want to share with you, the next playbook I want to share with you, is what we call the email reply to conversion campaign. And has anybody ran the 9-word email in their business? When was the last time you ran it?
March.
How did it do?
It did really, really well.
Yeah.
I was using Parson.
Parsi. Great. Steve, did you? Always does great. Or, 9-word emails. Okay. So 9-word emails, for those of you who don't know what that is, there are 9 words in an email that ask them if they're still interested in working with you. The subject line is just merged your name, first name typically. So it would just say, Dave, are you still interested in growing your online business? Question mark. Okay? And then generally what happens is people reply back to that, and then you've generated that engagement, which is great for email deliverability, by the way. And then from there, you can then start working them into a consultation. The problem is for a lot of people is those replies are very, very manual, especially if you've got a big list, and people can reply back with lots of different things. So what we use is we use an automation with the reply. So when people reply back, we then automatically put them into a countdown sequence. So this is the way our campaign works. So the first part of the campaign is to introduce the offer to them. And what we're asking them to do is to reply back to the email about the offer. Reply back if you're interested. Reply back with the word go, or reply back with something. Okay? It's better for it to be prescriptive than anything else. And over a series of 3 emails, we keep it extremely casual, not just one email with the 9-word email. We actually send 3 attempts at this. So I'll introduce you to something called a fake forward. If you don't know what to write, in our playbooks, what we do, we send the first email that says, hey, Melissa, are you still interested in scaling your business to 7 figures? Question mark. Hit reply back, and I'll shoot you some information I think you'll find valuable. Right? That's the email. The next email that they get the next day, if you didn't reply back, the contingency would be, you use the forwarding description that you would have from Gmail if you press forward, where it's got the dashed lines and then forward from, and it's got the email underneath it. And it just says, did you see my email yesterday? If you missed it, I've copied everything below. Ollie, sent from iPhone. Okay? And then that looks like a really personalized thing, and it's bumped everything down to the bottom. Now, don't abuse the sent from iPhone thing, right? Because that's could be a problem. So you need to be careful with that. But what that does is a very simple way then of just following up in a very human way, but using automation. The third email is a little bit more of a direct call to action to get them to reply. Now, when they reply, there's a couple of things that happen. When they reply, there's an automation that sets a deadline date. Remember the reason why we do dynamic deadline dates, and the reason why I'm setting a deadline date based upon them actually replying, okay? Then I follow up all the way that they replied they need to buy or schedule a consult before the deadline. It's a great way of driving engagement and getting results with this. I know some of my mastermind group, I was just trying to think who got some crazy ass results. Can you remember who it was, Satch?
It was Tate.
Tate, yeah. Yeah, well, what I usually do is on an event like this, I get everybody to commit to themselves to go and send the 9-word email to their list tonight. Because in San Diego, who was it that said that they...
somebody came back and they had like a sale or two or something.
Yeah, and they said like, it was like 18 grand or something. So they got something that was worth 18 grand from sending it, right? So for those of you who already got Next Level Growth, all the playbooks in there, we just push it into your Infusionsoft campaign, gives you the plus this instructions to go and set it up, and that's it, you're away. And even if you want to send the simple version of it, you could do that as well. Just take it and run it, or run the 72-hour cash flow surge. Now, who knows Wicked Reports? Anybody know Wicked Reports? So Wicked Reports still use this campaign. We did a load of marketing for them last year, and for them, this front-end revenue was kind of irrelevant because they're all about annual recurring revenue, monthly recurring revenue, because they're a SaaS business, and it's got them a bunch of responses, a bunch of front-end revenue from running it for them. They're still running that campaign now. So I discovered a lot of this stuff, obviously, the hard way, but you can just take a lot of these playbooks that are already written with all of the copy written for them, all of the automation set up, and you can push it into Infusionsoft. So if you don't have Infusionsoft, then you can talk to us about getting it if you want, and you actually get it free for 3 months with Next Level Growth anyway, but we push these campaigns into your app. So, and if you don't use Infusionsoft and you have no interest in using Infusionsoft, that's cool. You can just take the playbooks out of the program and just copy and paste them, put them to work straight away. They work well. And how much, Kevin? Yes. When, a couple of months ago, you wrote a sales letter and we charged 25,000, was it 25 or 20? It was 20K for a sales letter, plus 3% of 3% of revenue on the back end for him to write the sales letter. All of these campaigns, and this is only just a few I've shown you, he's written all of them. So you don't have to hire a copywriter because they're done. Helpful. Somebody a question, yeah?
Yeah, with Infusionsoft, do they come with like auto setups? Is there somebody that can set this up for you?
Yeah, so I should have mentioned it, great question. Two things. One is I don't think I don't think you're a Next Level Growth member, but if you were, we do 2 calls every week with me. 2 Q&A calls every single week with me. That means if you have like a setup that you need to go through, we will just do it on that call. Then we also have something called Tech Tuesdays with Steve, and he will go through any automation and integration stuff. We also have Facebook Fridays, we also have Copy Clinic, and we have other things as well as all part of the program. So you can get that as well. And if you're just getting Infusionsoft, that's cool too, and we can help you get that set up, no problem at all.
Yeah, because I heard Infusionsoft is pretty confusing.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing, like, I love that, but, you know, it's a great angle to throw rocks at the enemy to say that, or to wear a t-shirt with it on. And that's cool, like, I get it, you know, and Russell's a friend of mine, I don't mind, but, like, here's the thing, like, as I've established, you want to build you want to hire a full stack person, then you want to start hiring a growth team. You shouldn't be anywhere near Infusionsoft. It's not your problem. In fact, it's our problem. It's our problem because we get to help them, okay? So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I wouldn't worry too much about that. And it's really not. I think it's the way that and it's not your fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just the way that people have explained it to you in the past. Just the way that it is, you know, just like everything. So